about 5 to 10 minutes of your time. I know last week I preached for 15. I'm not going to be able to preach long. So today's children's church, or I'm sorry, youth church lesson is entitled Excuses. Mm-hmm. And it comes from Exodus chapter 4, verses 1 through 17. And we are going to highlight a few of those verses today. Have you ever found yourself making excuses for your disobedience? How many times have your parents given you just one chore and you found every excuse in the book not to do it? Mm. This is the same attitude Moses had when God told him to lead his people out of Egypt. Moses didn't like what God asked him to do, so he thought of reasons why he shouldn't. He told God the people wouldn't believe him, and he wasn't good with words. Exodus 4:1 says, Then Moses answered and said, But suppose they will not believe me or listen to my voice. Suppose they say the Lord has not appeared to you. Now jump down to verses 10 through 12, and they say, Then Moses said to the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, but I am now slow of speech and slow of tongue. So the Lord said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be your mouth. I will be with your mouth and teach you what you will say. These excuses revealed what Moses had going on in his heart. Moses didn't trust God enough to obey him. In the end, God sent Moses' brother Aaron to Egypt with him because Moses wouldn't go on his own. Verses 13 through 17 say, But he said, O my Lord, please send by the hand of whomever else you may send. So the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well, and look, he is coming out to meet you. Sorry, I can't really see right now. When he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. Now you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what you shall do. So he shall be your spokesman to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be to him as God. And you shall take this rod in your hand, with which you shall go do the signs. God had a plan for Moses' life, as we can see. He saved Moses from the Nile River. He saved Moses from Pharaoh's anger. At the burning bush, God shared his plan with Moses. If Moses would only trust God, the Hebrew people would be saved. God saved Moses for a special purpose, and that purpose was to rescue his people. The calling of Moses points out to a great calling, and points to a great calling and rescue, the call of Jesus to come to earth to save God's people from their sin. Moses and Jesus both obeyed God's commands in order to carry out his plan of salvation. Moses delivered God's people from physical captivity. Meanwhile, Jesus delivered God's people from captivity of sin. I challenge you to write down which of God's commands is hardest for you to obey. Ask God to help you obey this command. Obey that command for a week. If you shall disobey, remember God forgives you. If you do obey, praise God for helping you. I asked this question in my closing. Why do you think Moses didn't want to go to Egypt? Think about what God was asking him to do. Moses was afraid. Now, would you have been afraid? We're also quick to come up with reasons on why we should not obey God. For example, when God says to love your enemies, we respond with, I've tried to love so-and-so before, but they're just continuously mean to me, so I'm going to stop. The truth is, God tells us what to do. The truth is, God tells us to do what seems impossible, so that we will rely on him for help. So the next time you are tempted to make an excuse to disobey, ask God for help instead. Watch what happens when you do. And as always, I want to close with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for giving us a story that reminds us that your commands will be too hard to obey without your help. Forgive us when we make up excuses for our disobedience, and thank you for giving us the help we need. Amen.
Amen. We thank Brother Willis for